scrappy people, it's Tracy Reed here today, coming at you with the 9x12 process video for the 9x12 that's going to match this pocket page, which goes right here. So I had a few ideas, and I actually have already started without you. I apologize. I just had to put together a background that I thought would work. So my initial thought was I wanted something really neutral to add a lot of circles to, but the problem was that this really neutral, the only neutral paper in this collection, had this really adorable cluster on it that I didn't want. And so what was wrong was, you know, I couldn't include the whole thing as a 9x12 because it would have cut like right into here. So what I ended up doing was cutting it down to 5 inches and then matting it with this somewhat neutral paper that is a 9x12 itself. And so I have this neutral base with a orange and black polka dot side to start building my layout on. So rather than adding circles to the whole thing, I'm just going to add circles on this neutral part right here. And I think I'm actually going to bust out my sewing machine. Oh my gosh, we're getting crafty. My idea is, and I don't know if it's going to change between now and when I start this video, my idea is a bunch of circles, lines of circles, and I think I'll probably bridge this line to, it'll almost look like, if I have a bunch of pattern circles here, you'll have to bear with me, I pulled out these circles as well, but if I have a bunch of pattern circles here, it'll kind of look like a scallop. So that's kind of my thought process right now. I don't want the whole thing covered up by circles. I just kind of want a few lines of, or a few vertical lines of circles. I'm going to start over here so that this side is accomplished. And then I'm going to work my way this way. I'm thinking maybe 1, 2, 3. Should I do 4? 4 would cover it up. But 3 feels pretty spaced out. Ooh, maybe I can do something like this so that it's like a pattern rather than, ooh, okay. I'm gonna think about it and we will work it out together. All right. Okie dokie, so continuing on with the plan I outlined, I am going to start cutting out circles from a few different pattern paper scraps that I've got sitting on the side of my desk from this line. I'm going to use the orange polka dots, but I'm also going to use the background of this other side, which was a sort of like an advent calendar for Halloween, but I purposefully cut it out on the like in the corners of squares so that it would be more like a collage of patterns. So I'm going to layer them like this, where it's offset, sort of mimicking the polka dot itself, and I'm going to find places for the word bits and not just the patterns. So I want to make sure that the word circles and like the icon circles are on the outside of where I'm going to put the photo, even though I'm not really sure at this point where I'm going to put the photo. I know it's going to be somewhat centered and covering up the middle portions of the layout, so I'm trying to make sure that I'm keeping the iconic circles towards the outside edges. Just arranging these so that you get bits of all of them and no two patterns that are the same are close together. And I'm going to actually glue these down just lightly, and then I'm going to run them through my sewing machine. And I cut out a lot of that process because A, it's really boring to watch me stick down all these circles, and B, my sewing is laughable, and actually I just embrace the really stupid messy stitching. It's pretty funny because a lot of years ago I used to sell really popular digital stitching packs that were called Messy Sewing Machine, like Bad Sewing Machine, and that's basically what I do in real life, is really poorly sew things. So that's what I'm doing. I ran 2 strips of stitching through each circle line, and I decided to do it vertically. So now I've got that all done and my background is ready to go. Of course, you would not have to stitch down the circle, so if you just want to, use your adhesive and do it that way, you could do that as well. And now I need to back this photo because that's just what I do, right? I always map my photos on some sort of pattern most of the time, something to really draw all the colors together or to make it stand out. I thought maybe I would do it on white this time, but I didn't have enough room on the rest of that paper to do it, so I'm going to do it on this white with the bats in the background. And you can't really tell that they're bats, but it just kind of will help the photo stand out from the background. And of course, I gotta have some gingham. So matting it on the white and then matting it on the darker gingham really separates the photo from the background that I created and helps that, it's a pretty busy photo with all the kids and all the colors, so it helps that stand out from the really busy background too. Kind of creates a visual division between the background and the photo to really start working with. So at this point I have no idea what I'm going to do. Like, I've got the background done, but how do I make it work with the photo itself? How do I make it like not look like just a jumbled mess? So I definitely have to start putting things over the top of the photo to start, making it mesh in as a layout and not just a photo sticking on top of things. I pulled out my big bin full of journal bits, and I'm gonna confess here, did not leave any room for journaling on this layout. That was poor planning, and I had been planning to journal on this side of the layout rather than the pocket side, and now I just messed myself over. So there's that. What I end up doing is going back and adding a flip up on the pocket page side to add in some hidden journaling, which you will see at the end. Decided to layer these tags horizontally rather than vertically. I felt like it really helped to extend the size of the cluster. I felt like it needed to be extended horizontally rather than vertically because there's a lot of vertical stuff going on here. I'm gonna use that spiderweb on both sides. I like it peeking out both sides. I always cut up my stickers. And I like this one, it says Costume Parade. Okay, so that's pretty good. It's a pretty good base for my layout, my cluster. Going to use this sticker, and of course it's not quite 12 inches because the Simple Stories ones don't quite reach 12 inches, so I'm cutting it up and kind of tucking it underneath the circles so that I can extend it. And of course I cut that one and I shouldn't have, so I had to put it back together. Making sure that it goes underneath things. There we go. And then going all the way to the top. And I like the delineation there, the big black line vertically. I think it helps draw in the black from the other edge as well. I decided to rough up the circles a little bit. I'm kind of folding them, and I'll continue to work them and fold them up a little bit, both on and off the camera. I like the texture that it gives. I'm really not a huge texture-y person in my scrapbooking. I don't mind if my layouts are a little bit flat because they fit in the album better. But I did really like the way that that looked, and I really play with them and work those circles off camera too before I take the photos. So I decided that this was cute and I wanted to add it in just to break up that line a little bit, add a little bit more collage-y feel since I was going full on simple vintage with all of the collage effects going on. I felt like there was like a trapped white space there, so I'm going to just put a little pumpkin. Then I'm going to add in some more of the circles from the circle sheets, and I'm actually going to take my circle punch to some of these rectangles and create my own circles out of the rectangles because I felt like I needed more circles, but I wasn't really loving the ones that were left on the sheet. So I just took my circle punch and created some circles out of the rectangle stickers, and I like that much better. Thinking outside the box here. Just going to add a couple in, I think 3 altogether, just to layer over those circles that I already created, just to create a little bit extra, you know, oomph. I really like the star ones, so I keep not wanting to cover up the star ones, which is funny. Thought about adding in some more ephemera, but I decided that I had enough going on. There was no reason to add in more. But that is about it. The only thing I'm going to add here is this tag because it replicates the tags that are behind the photo, and I like that. Gonna tuck it in a little bit. There we go. And that is about it for this layout. I'm going to switch back over to the live voiceover, give you my thoughts on the spread as a whole after I add in some string, and that's it. Yep, just going to tie these knots and then add in one more. Okay, I'm going to switch over. Alright, so this is the final product. I actually really love the way that this came out. I'm so happy that I'm using this series to really get creative again with my scrapbooking and step outside the box that I kind of put myself in, trying to rush through things. So I love the way that these circles came out. I'm loving that some of them go underneath, some of them, you know, bridge the photo and bridge the edges, and then there's a lot of circles on this side as well. So one of the things that I was going to do was add the journaling to this side. But you saw that the way that it worked out, there was no place to put the journaling. I tried, I didn't like it. So what I ended up doing was coming back to the pocket page and adding in just a flip up with Scotch tape like I have been doing with journaling underneath it. So it doesn't really change the aesthetic of the page, but now I have journaling underneath it, and I just created a cute little card on the bottom here, and then added in some tabs from the sticker sheet. I think the 4x6 stickers, so that you know that it's a little flip up. So now I have my journaling, and it doesn't ruin the aesthetic of the page as a whole, and I'm really loving all the circles. So yay, there's another lesson in this series. Add circles, break up the square and rectangular dimensions of your pages with some fun circles. And I even busted out my sewing machine, so yay! Alright, if you enjoyed this video, I'd love it if you give it a thumbs up. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe. I would love to have you. And if you don't already, you can follow me over on Instagram. I'm at Tracy M. Reed, and I would love to see you over there as well. And I will see you next time. Alright, thank you!